So, what does it mean to be an Augustinian scholar as a teacher or a student in an Augustinian school? And what can Augustine, a teacher, bishop, priest in late Roman antiquity, teach us about learning in the 21st century? Well, as it turns out, quite a lot. If we take the four key Augustinian values of humility, interiority, community, and search for truth, we have a pathway to learning that for Augustine was most successful and for us can be most successful as well. It's a journey from ourselves through others to truth. And it's a particularly Augustinian way of looking at the learning process. It's a particularly 21st century way of looking at learning as well. If we take the four values one by one, we'll start to see the picture. Humility requires us to be honest with ourselves, to know our strengths and limitations in learning and in life. We know what gifts we bring to the learning process, and we know what we find difficult. We need to be willing to learn from others. We're not always the smartest person in the room. We don't need to be too proud to ask questions, to seek help from other people. We need to embrace error, especially early in learning, when we're really learning from our mistakes, and to work on difficult problems, to challenge ourselves, to recognise that it will be hard, but that we can do it. And Augustinian humility focuses also on the learning process and values the learning process itself, not just the outcomes. A focus on outcomes means that we might not make the process the best that we can, but a focus on process will lead to good outcomes. So Augustinian humility calls us to be all about the learning, not performing. We don't always have to get everything right. We don't have to always be the first to finish. If we focus on the learning, then the outcomes will come. Humility enables us to seek interiority. Interiority, the inner life, the inner teacher, is thinking deeply about topics and concepts, and it challenges us to go deeper than the superficial, to really consider the impact or consequences or significance of concepts that we're learning. It calls us to ask ourselves questions, to examine how we do things. Is there a better way of learning this? Is there a better way of understanding this? And it asks us to be kind to ourselves as we learn, to be patient. Learning is a long process for most of us, and we need to be patient that we'll get there. We need to be positive in our thoughts and confident that we'll get there, but patient with ourselves and kind to ourselves as we make the necessary mistakes along the way. So interiority is about being the best you, not comparing yourself with others. And interiority prepares us to join with others in learning. In community, we help others and allow others to help us. And we respect each other's needs and use self-discipline. There's a time and a place for enjoying people's company. It's not always the classroom. Community enables us to draw on other people's gifts and to share ours, to bring our gifts to the learning process and to value the gifts of all other members of the class. Certainly, educational research confirms that using study groups, quizzing each other, challenging each other, asking questions and answering questions in a group situation is one of the most effective ways of learning. And that's Augustinian community. So community is about working together, supporting each other, reaching for the high aims, helping each other get there. And that brings us to the restless search for truth. An Augustinian scholar values knowledge, competence, and hard work. An Augustinian scholar knows that learning doesn't come easily, and that deep learning requires effort. And that calls us to keep our eye on the prize, to know that there's a purpose for our learning and the work and study that we're doing. It challenges us to go further than just what is required. Don't settle for first understandings, superficial understandings. The restless search for truth is about deep learning. And it tells us that we need to do the grunt work to achieve mastery. That nothing comes easily in terms of deep learning. So the restless search for truth is about aiming high. It's about doing hard things, and about the fact that doing hard things is a great thing for you to do. So when you take these four Augustinian values together, they really give a recipe or a roadmap or a pathway for acquiring 21st century learning skills.